Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Core Racing Network. Tonight, we got the penultimate round here in the Core GT Series, round at number 9 here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and you can see it's not exactly driver-friendly out here tonight. The sun has finally come up here, but it's not going to show any signs of actually coming out here. It is downpouring right now. The only thing I can say is it's going to go from 100% chance to about maybe 85% chance by the time that this race is over. So yeah, I don't think these drivers are going to get any kind of let up here tonight, but either way, I'm sure they're going to put on one heck of a race for the second last race of the season. Carl Hamrick joined in the booth by Tyler Skosen. Tyler, you got your chance to get out there with the boys last week, and certainly a little bit easier track with Monza compared to Spa, a little bit easier conditions, obviously dry compared to a torrential downpour here that they're dealing with here tonight. So I guess the first question I got to pose to you is, kind of unique with the session here. There's no, technical practice time. It's just 1 hour of straight open qualifying. So you have to get your practice and qualifying in at the same time. How much time do you dedicate in conditions like this to putting in a solid lap time compared to really kind of testing the track limits, testing the car limits?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of hard to tell. I mean, all of that really boils down to the just type of the driver you are. If you're a driver who really wants to focus on the long run, then that's what you're going to put your primary focus on. But I mean, at the same time, like you said, it's an hour long between practicing and qualifying, setting your lap down that you need to, start this race. But it's someone like me, again, like I was racing last week, so it's a little bit easier for me to compare now. But most of the time, because it's such a long session, it's the same distance as the actual race time. So I would every now and then I would probably start by doing a little bit of long time practice, just go as many laps as I can, and then once I get that comfortable feeling, then you're going to want to put a qualifying lap down, at least maybe put 1 or 2 different stints. It's up to you. What do you feel like you're most confident in? Some people are better on the short run. Some people are better at long runs. So if you think that you're a better short run driver, maybe you just want to practice your long run then and get that used to it. And then, vice versa. So, whatever it is, I mean, still plenty of time. You're probably going to definitely focus on your long run speed as much as you can, since you're not just going to put an hour of 2 lap qualifying laps. That's going to be boring, and you're going to gain no information for the race. So plenty of session. I mean, it's not easy, especially in these wet conditions. So you're going to get, either way, as many laps as you want.
So we talked before about you had your chance to get in the Spa 24 last season with iRacing, so you have some familiarity here with this track and running it in these conditions as well, because it did rain during the Spa 24. But we could talk about Eau Rouge and Radion. We could talk about Puhan. We could talk about a lot of these corners out here in the track that can be tricky, especially you see the water setting on the tracks right there. Quite possibly the most difficult corner is not on the track. It is in pit lane. Yeah, that's something that, I mean, when I was in the race, that pit lane was probably the part that I would, go into it like worried, because I had no clue what was going on. Because right as you enter pit road, entering's not the hardest part. I mean, it's going to be a really sharp turn to make that left and then get to the commitment line to start at pit road speed. But then once you get there, all the way at the end, thankfully we've had these new updates, so it made things a little bit easier. But when I was running, you have to take that right hand turn to where most of the pit boxes are, and then eventually you go on the pit exit, going up Eau Rouge and all that. And the reason that was so tough is because it was such a blind corner, and the wall would kind of just point out. So if you turn in too early, you're gonna damage the right front really easily, and that could probably be a day ender. So pit lane by far definitely not easy. Once you can get on pit lane, the rest of it should be no worry. It is a little bit narrow. That's another thing to focus on, but thankfully for these drivers, they don't have to do it multiple times like I did in the 24. That was a nightmare, and so much worry that came my way. But it'll be interesting to see what these drivers do as we wrap up qualifying here. We'll see what it's like. This will be really fun. Yeah, it'll be fun for us. I mean, you see the water setting down there at the bottom of Rouge and Radiant right there. It is. I mean, that's treacherous right there. I know in the Spa 24, anytime you go through there with that big old puddle at the bottom, you really got to tiptoe, and it's not easy at all. Well, qualifying is complete here, and let's give a rundown of your starting order here tonight. And we're going to start with the Gold Division. Top of the board is going to be James Pierce with a 239.826. Dominique Ford going to start in second. Mason Smith, Ricky Renner, Michael Brock, Jack Peterson, Kelly Pointer, Dave Tilford, Nick Terrell for your 9 cars in the Gold Division. In the Silver, it is going to be Nathan Nickerson, Ellie Brandel, John Nobinger, Braden Carlson, Alan Gullison, Jake Jackson, and Brendan Domain. In the Bronze, James Molyneux, Josh Betts, John Crane, Jesse Francisco, Alex Jaspers, Tim Thompson, and Terry Jansen. And then the one lone rookie is certainly one I'm sure we'll be paying attention to. He's been one we've paid attention to since he's got into the league, Jonathan Schwartz, as he is the lone rookie out here, but he's going to be starting in third. We'll take a look at the overall qualifying right now. And you see Schwartz right there in third place. Nathan Nickerson and Ellie Brandel for the Silver Divisions, both getting up there in the top 10. But how about James Molyneux? I know he put in a bunch of practice time and really tried to get ready for this race. It's showing off so far in qualifying in 7th place overall. The next closest Bronze Division driver down in 13th overall. So great qualifying effort there for Molyneux. We'll see if he can translate it into a good finish here, as we got another thing that is a bit new here tonight, and that's a new car out here on the track. The new Acura NSX is going to be joining the field here for the GT3s for these last couple races of the season.
Yeah, of course. Why not? Throwing another wild card into already enough of a wild card race. I mean, it's an hour long. We'll see how it handles. It looks like, I believe, some of the front runners, I believe, are running the Acura right now. So, yeah, pole sitter James Pierce, actually, and both the guys on the front row, James Pierce and Dominique Ford, running in the Acura. So that'll be interesting to see how this car handles in the rain, but we will see.
Yeah, Mason Smith, James Molyneux, and John Crane, the other ones in the Acura here tonight. So that's why once you'll see the time and scoring pop up there, it is going to not have an emblem there, because SDK has not been updated yet with the Acura symbol. But another thing that's going to be interesting, and you see it there a little bit if you're paying attention, close attention, is debris. Debris can now be brought onto the track, or kind of if drivers get off into the kitty litter on the side where you see right there, if they spin their tires, it can throw that debris onto the track, and it will act like actual debris out there. It's going to be really sketchy, and you can slide out just as bad as you can slide out here in the rain. So that could be an extra factor here tonight that is brand new. iRacing just having a major update there. Their updates for the next season here, and technically the 2025 season, even though we're still in December, but quite a bit of updates here, and kind of the key ones that we point out, obviously the Acura and the debris that's going to be coming into play here tonight. I'm sure there's probably one or two off tracks. I would just venture to say, just a few, just a few.
Yeah, just a few. Hey, let's put it this way: they'll probably be over the one, so you at least get the minimum right.
Yeah. And listen, if somebody finished with a 0x, forget giving them bonus points here tonight. I think we just hand them a championship, give them a championship ring or something, because
I 100% agree.
They certainly deserve it. Well, we are getting ready to fire these cars off your 1 hour race here tonight for race number 9 on the season. James Pierce and Dominique Ford on that front row, and we're gonna have to wait until the official front stretch. That's the finish line right there. So it's one of those tracks where it has a different finish line than it does for the start finish line, or the start line. The finish line is right there, but the start line is after you go around La Source here, that name of the corner right here, the tough little hairpin. It's the inside of La Source, inside the pits. That's actually the really tough part. But here we go, coming down to the start line here tonight. Can't call it the start finish line, even though I want to.
Green, green, green.
And we are racing here at Spa-Francorchamps side-by-side racing down into the first corner, and yeah, I think that's what you're going to see right there. You're going to see everybody really tiptoe getting this single file line, and we'll see what they can do, see who makes it, if anybody has any kind of issues. There's
no spin behind.
It's like Alex Jaspers.
Yeah.
Take a look at that real quick.
Oh, one car also way off. Dave Tilford.
Almost, yeah, it looks like he might have got a little bit of help right there.
Never mind. No, Dave Tilford started on pit road.
Yeah, I know Tilford got here a little bit late, and it looks like possibly Kelly Porter might have started from pit lane as well.
Oh, no,
we've got another crash here, and this is Dominique Ford.
Whoa. And that's the issue right there, especially here. Now that you have the debris that we talked about,
you gotta be careful
that car doesn't get beached.
A little help there from looked like Jonathan Schwartz on the inside.
That's interesting because these two really don't seem to see eye to eye very much. So I can only imagine Dom's not going to be happy with that one.
No, not at all. We'll take a look at that one more time, and it looked like Schwartz just got to the inside there, and there's definitely puddling on that inside line. And you'll see it right here. Look like it just pushed out a little bit, and right into the side of that Acura is going to put Ford to the back of the pack. He's going to have a long race to try and make his way back up through here, but man, in the rain, it is not easy.
Yeah, that's something that, I mean, even though Dom was doing everything he could there at that point, I mean, John is on the inside, and they all know there's puddles there. I mean, that's really just a lose-lose situation. Whether you give the guy enough room or not, they're going to hit the puddle. They're not going to be able to do anything. So, I mean, the only rightful thing that someone could think about is, I mean, if you're ahead and it's your corner and the other guy should back out. But, I mean, even though it's raining and it's not recommended, there's nothing that says you have to back out. So, you know, just a racing deal.
And it's tight side by side and racing, and you know as well as I do, drivers get a little antsy on that opening lap. As speaking of getting a little antsy, I think that was Ricky Renner sliding through and just jumping over the curbing right there, and gets back in line. Somehow he gets back in line and doesn't lose too much positions there. That was certainly an interesting way of getting back onto the track. Trying to see, it looks like he's back in line here in that 6th position overall.
Yeah, and one other thing that I wanted to say back with Dom really quick is that with this new update that we've seen with iRacing is that, you know, we have all this debris, but there's also a little bit addition with some mud there, and you have pouring conditions like this out in the sand pit, pretty much is what some you want to call it. You got to be careful you don't want to get stuck. But in Dom's perspective that he was just sitting there, no room to really get back on, and from there you just got to watch everybody go by you. It's so disheartening to see something like that as a race car driver, you know, qualified in the front row, and now all of a sudden you just got to see all those positions go by you just because of a racing deal. I mean, it's tough, but I mean, there's still a long race to go. There's possible many more mistakes to come out of these drivers, so you never know. We'll see.
We'll try to take a look at the start of this race, and we'll hop on board with Alan Gullison here at the start and just show you how chaotic it was and how much you can see or how much you can't see. As they are not pacing right now. They have the green flag, but you see everybody tiptoeing, just trying to find their way in here, trying to find a lineup through the source and Eau Rouge, and that's where you see the contact right there with Alex Jaspers getting sent off. But not easy at all. Looked like it was contact there with Jake Jackson.
Yeah, that's where in a normal situation, I mean, there would be no issue even being side by side up Eau Rouge. I mean, you can do that, but I mean, just in these conditions, like you mentioned, that's something we can highlight on a little bit too. You can see how most of these drivers are not going to be, you know, taking the proper arc that you normally would be on a dry racetrack. And that's because there are so many puddles that are just right there on the curves. And you saw it with Jonathan Schwartz. When you touch those, the car's just going to go straight. It's basically like you know, when you run over it, you're just floating pretty much. You really can't do anything, can't steer out of it. You're just gonna have, it's not even really that you're going so slow. I mean, you're just gonna run into it and the car's just gonna go straight. It's a helpless feeling. So that's why you're gonna see most of these drivers not run in that lane. They're just gonna try to run basically where you shouldn't, and that's basically away from the arc. So if you get confused, that's why.
Yeah, and it's what makes passing difficult. There's, see, it looks like John Nominger having some issues there in the bus stop, getting spun back around. It's hard enough to try and make a pass instead of a pass in the rain, but typically your passing zones are going to be in the corners. You know, trying to outbrake somebody or trying to take, you know, typically the opposite line from everybody else. Well, the opposite line is the inside line here tonight for a lot of these corners. So it's really strange and tough, and that's why qualifying in these rain races is huge. It is more important than anywhere else, qualifying in the rain, because passing is so difficult. And then when you have the situation like that with Dom Ford, it puts him way back in the pack right now, and he's going to try and work his way through. He's already up to 15th overall, so doing a good job making his way through this field, but it's still going to be a long race. And we'll take a look back here as Tim Thompson trying to work on Jack Peterson. And right behind them is Dom Ford right there in the pink BWT Acura, and picking up another position, moving up into 14th.
And see, yeah, you can see that's very good what Dom did. He didn't get to the racing line, but he got as close as he could be to those puddles without directly hitting them. And I mean, that's ideal. I mean, look at how much gap he just put on between him and Tim Thompson right there. So right now, what he's doing is really good job. You know, he's being as careful as he can be. You know, had plenty of time to recover. There's still 49 minutes to go. Now you got to work on Jack Peterson there in front. One car off in front. That's Terrell. Got back on. No contact, but here goes Dom now. Going to try to make a move.
You see all that debris coming back on the track as well from him coming out of that kitty litter as they head now into Wuhan. And yeah, I mean, now a situation like this, obviously Dom doing a pretty good job here, tucking right up to Jack Peterson now, looking to make a move here into the S's. Is this a situation now, you know, once he kind of finds himself into a gap, do you come into the pits early? Do you try and take that pit stop early, or, you know, as soon as you can, and maybe try and pick up some more positions just by getting some good laps down? I mean, it's going to be tough. By the time they get into that pit window, I feel like the cars are going to be spread around the track, that you're not really going to find a nice, safe, comfortable window to get into, and it almost might make more sense being an overcut situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's very possible, but now that someone like Dom, who is pretty much all by himself, he's got clean racetrack in front and behind him, so now he's going to have to really see, he hasn't really had it yet, he hasn't had clean track like this, so now he's going to be able to see how fast he really is, how much pace this car really has, how much time can he make up on the cars in front. Next car is Jesse Francisco, just up the road in P11 overall right now, I believe. So yeah, I mean, it's a driver preference, you know, whether you want to pit early, you know, stay out as long as you can, try to run it. Just because, I mean, you might have better pace than these guys. You might be able to just outrun them straight up. Last lap, Dom ran a 244.4, and Jesse Francisco 247.2. So, I mean, and think about it, Dom was passing guys, so he's got pace in that car right now. James, the leader, just to compare, ran a 240.6, so he's definitely lost time to the leader, but I mean, in comparison to the guys in front, I mean, just try to chase him down. Yeah,
I mean, you won't find a faster time until you get inside the top 5. As a bit of a moment there for, like it was Jake Jackson getting a little bit sideways. But yeah, I mean, everybody in front of him until you get to 4th place had a slower time than he did. Like you said, he was passing cars along the way. So certainly don't count the 91 out for at least the top 5 out here tonight. But we'll take a look at fastest lap of the race so far is Jonathan Schwartz in 2nd place right now. It is only half a second. Well, it was a half a second. It is cut down to nothing right now. This is the battle for the lead. It was about a 2-second lead last I looked, unless I was looking at something different or SDK was wrong or what the case was. But either way, this is now the battle for the lead. As, yeah, Jonathan Schwartz picked up a half a second on that last lap. And I kind of seen it in the qualifying, you know, the practice / qualifying. You know, first when I got in here, it was still a little bit dark. The sun had not come up yet, and didn't see any times all but one person. I think Ricky Renner was the only one at the time when I came in that was under a 2:44 second lap time, but you slowly seen the lap times coming down, and it wasn't because the rain was slowing up. It wasn't really because they were wearing out of line and, you know, kind of drying out of line to make it a little bit better running. Maybe a little bit, but it was just the drivers getting a little bit more comfortable with their cars and pushing it just a little bit more. And all of a sudden you start seeing some times down in the 240s, and James Pierce putting that time in there for qualifying at 239. So it just, you see it even right now during the race that the drivers getting a little bit more comfortable with their vehicles and where you can push it, where you can't. But all it takes is that one mistake, you hit that one puddle the wrong way, and you don't have to worry about all that time you gain. You're going to be trying to pick up your parts.
Yeah, and that's something that Jonathan just did the last lap, where he gained all that time on James Pierce for the lead. I found it really interesting, and as you can see, the times that we've gone on board with the drivers, even when you're very close, I mean, the spray, I mean, this even comes from the new update. The spray has gotten fairly great, and what that means is it's so large where the drivers just are so close to someone that you can't really see anything in front. So what I've seen John do is when he gets onto the straightaways, I mean, he's not that close as he was earlier, but sometimes when he gets on a long straightaway, has a little bit of room, you see him duck out of line, and that's not just because, you know, he doesn't know what to do. It's because he's just trying to see where the corner is in front. He wants to prepare for it. He knows where it is, so he knows where his braking point is. Then he'll get back into his normal line, right where the leader runs, right before the corner, so he can get the proper arc. But that's why you'll see him, even if it's a quarter of a car length, a full car length, a second, you'll see them just duck out a little bit just so they can prepare themselves. And that's what you need in these rain conditions. It's going to be super helpful. It's what John's been doing, and I mean, it's been working because he's continuing to try to cut down the gap. A little bit of an overshot, but doing a really good job, especially on entry. He definitely seems like he's gaining most of his time on braking.
Again, it seems like he's a little bit more comfortable with that Porsche right now. He's been driving it for quite some time, and again, we mentioned that Acura is brand new, and it's I'm sure got that fresh car smell, and it's got, you know, just a little bit more power than everything else. It's not a knock on iRacing, but it's just something that typically happens when a new car comes out. It is by far the best car in the field, and until, you know, enough cars are bought, and then all of a sudden it gets a bop to get reduced back down to a normal speed. So not surprised to see a few Acuras out here in the field, and let alone the fact they're at the top of the boards. But and I'll be damned if Jonathan Schwartz is not trying to take that away from the Amazon 238 right now of James Pierce. He is right on the back bumper once again, and it's kind of ebbing and flowing right now. Got all the way out to a 1 second lead, but then right back down to about 0.3 of a second heading into La Source. It is really tight here, but you can catch him. Can you pass him, and where can you pass him?
Yeah, and again, that's what I was just talking about earlier. Now that he's this close, I mean, look at the spray he's in. That's worrying as a driver because, I mean, you don't want to, you know, miss your corner, but at the same time, a driver could hit a puddle, something you don't expect. And that's what they're doing right now. They're hitting so many of these puddles, especially going up a Rouge, where, I mean, you try to get the draft, but I mean, that's difficult to do in this rain. I mean, would you rather get the draft, or would you rather get stuck in the spray and have no clue where you're going? So see if he kind of ducks out here a little bit. Now he's got a little bit of a distance so we can see where the corner is, but you know, that's the issue. The higher speed you are, the more the spray is going to be visible. Slower they are, that's why it's not as crazy in the corners, because they're not going that quick. But then, you know, we'll see what he continues to do as he continues to get closer. Really duck out a little bit more. You can see they overshoot just a little bit. We'll see if John can get it back going. All right, not bad. But yeah, continuing to roll. I got 12 seconds on the third place guy, Mason Smith, right now, so no worries.
Take a look back at a couple other battles here. Back in 17th position, Michael Brock looking to try and make a move here on Josh Betts, as both of these guys are right behind Tim Thompson, and they head to the Kemmel Straight, and all three are going to be right on top of each other, and I think they got a good enough run. Tim Thompson a rough exit at the top, and here comes Betts. Brock looks like he's going to stay out of it, but Betts still sticking to the inside. And he make the pass, just gets by Thompson. Thompson tries to find the inside. You see, gets into that puddle, the same puddle that Schwartz hit on the start of the race. And that did not work out too well. As now Brock looking, bobbing and weaving back there, but just cannot make that final lunge to get on the inside of Thompson. So he's going to stay back here in 17th.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. You saw him hit that puddle, and again, it didn't matter how fast or slow he was going. It would go straight. I mean, even though if you're going much, much slower, I mean, it'll help not hitting somebody. It's okay to work for some feathers, hit another car. That's going to happen in racing. But yeah, you can see, try to get the corner there. Went a little bit wide in the center, but got it back going on the exit. And outside of puddles, I mean, you just want to be careful with those curves because even though it's standing water, they're also just really slippery, and that's an easy reason to not want to touch those curves at all. So,
well, that's actually kind of the next thing I was going to bring up. It seems like they're able to actually get on some of these curves here tonight. Normally, it's an absolute no-no. Normally, you don't want to even look at the curves, let alone think about them or drive on them. But here tonight, it seems like at least some of these flatter ones, and even coming out of the corners there, as long as it's not not a puddle right by them, it seems like they can at least get on them a little bit. As we got a battle now, as Brock going to go to the inside here and drag race Tim Thompson. Looks like he is going to make that pass and move himself into 16th place overall. As we'll take a look here, we'll bring up the overall standings. Not sure where your favorite drivers are running overall is, and is the battle for 16th place back here. We'll take a spin up a little bit further. Both Tim Thompson and Michael Brock go a bit deep there into the bus stop, but take a look at 10th place. Dominic Ford has moved himself into the top 10. And he is still continuing his charge up through there, still putting in some very good lap times. Again, you'd have to go up to inside the top 5 to find the faster cars right now on the track, but I'm hesitant to put him on screen because he's doing so well. But how about James Molyneux? I mean, we talk ad nauseum with him. We know he's a Chevy guy. We know he loves the Corvette. We try to talk about him so many times because it's a tough GT3 car to handle. Even for the better drivers, a lot of times they stay away from the Corvette. It's not a fun car to handle. And he's a bronze driver for a reason. And to have a bronze driver in the Corvette, it was kind of just like, I know you're a Chevy guy, you like it, but man, I think tonight is maybe a little eye-opening here for James as he switches over to the Acura, puts in a heck of a qualifying performance, and now he's running 5th place overall. I mean, Tyler, what a run here for the 94.
Yeah, it's fantastic right now. Outbeating guys like Nathan, John, Eli, Braden, Dom. I mean, sure, Dom spun out, but he's still ahead of Dom. I mean, that's an accomplishment in itself. But yeah, doing a really good job putting very consistent lap times down. He just ran his fastest lap 2 laps ago, 2:43 flat, basically. Not as fast as the guys in front of him. Still trying to chase him down a little bit. They're running about higher 243s. Or low 243s, higher 242s. So either way, it's still a fantastic run if you can hang on here. I mean, still plenty of racing to go, still some pit stops. But right now, either way, this is a huge boost of confidence for James right now. Fantastic job running right here, and we'll see if he can move on.
I mean, you talk about what the times they are running around him. Those are guys in the gold and silver division, and he's competing with them right now. I mean, like you said, he had a 243 flat. You look at everybody else in the bronze division, the fastest lap in the bronze division other than James Molyneux is a 246 flat by Jesse Francisco, 3 seconds slower. So, I mean, it's a fantastic pace that Molyneux is putting on right now. And we've seen this before. We've seen him put in some good qualifying efforts, and we've seen him be, on the proverbial pole for the bronze division in quite a few races. It's putting that race together and finishing it out. We've still got plenty of time left. We're only a third of the way through this race right now, coming up on the 20-minute mark, so he's still got some time. to finish this thing out. And you know, with Dom closing up through the field here, he may not be in line for a top 5, but I mean, heck, if he can finish this thing in the top 10 overall in a rain race at Spa, he gets a little bit loose there coming off. I mean, that would be a fantastic effort, and just, you know, kind of re-putting in his mind, like, listen, you're a Chevy guy, but there's other cars out there that handle a little bit better, and clearly he's fancying this Acura right now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's a lot better right now than I thought we would do. I mean, I'm just taking a look to see James right now, who's leading. He's in the Acura. You got the next Acura is Mason Smith in 3rd, and then it's James in 5th place right now. So 3 of the top 5 so far in the Acuras, running really good, running really consistent lap times as well, which, by the way, I will highlight. James just ran his fastest lap of the race at 2:42.1 in 5th place. Fantastic once again here, and Nathan just behind him just ran at 2:44, so he's pulling away from the guys in front, and he ran a faster lap than Ricky as well. He ran at 2:45.3, so he gained the time on him. I'm not sure where Ricky seemed to slip up, maybe a little bit on exit on one of the corners, but still really good for what they're doing.
I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in to tonight's race. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe and get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer as we come to the close of the year and the close of some of these seasons, as both the Core Xfinity Series on Tuesday nights and here the Core GT Series is going to be finishing up next week. They're going to both have their last race of the season, obviously the championship round for the Xfinity Series, and you know, technically the championship race here for the GT Series. You see Molyneux coming in the pits. We'll hop over to Dominique Ford as he is looking to try and move himself into what's going to be in the 7th place if he can get around Ellie Randall. But we already are looking to 2025, and it's going to be not 2, not 3, but 5 series on tap for Core next season. So any drivers out there looking to get in some racing, there's going to be plenty on tap, as we're going to have Monday nights are going to be the GT4 series and the mini stock series, both run at the same time. Neither is slated to be broadcasted right now, but certainly both going to be some fun. Let Your Hair Down series. Tuesday nights are going to be the Xfinity series once again. They're going to start another 20 race season for them on Tuesday nights. On Wednesdays is going to be the new LMP2 series, and I'm really interested to see how that turns out. And if we get enough players in the mix there, we'll see if that one gets tapped for broadcasting here on CRN. And then on Thursday nights, once again, is going to be the Core GT series, as it looks like Randall and Ford now get together. Seen it just off screen here. We'll take a look at this once again.
Oh my. Let's see.
It was at the end of the Kemmel Straight, and pretty much the exact same spot that it happened before. Looks like Brandel now gets into the other side of Dom, and he just cannot catch a break here.
You can see Eli. I will say it looked like maybe the slightest bit of net code that you could get, but yeah, Eli just kind of cut the corner a little too much. He went straight. Yeah, I mean, the contact shouldn't have been that severe. The way it kind of lifted Dom's right rear into the air. It definitely shouldn't have done that. Probably would have just, honestly, I would have, by that contact, I would have spun both of them out. But, yeah, that's a tough break for Dom here. I'm sure he's probably ready to bring it down pit road now, but surprisingly didn't lose that much time. I mean, he still has Eli in front of him. He's got, you know, a little bit more work to do now that he's lost that time, but I'm sure he'll probably bring it down pit road here very shortly.
Yeah, he's still in 8th place. Still in 8th place right now, but it's certainly getting close to that pit window. Now coming up on the 24th minute right now, and getting close to that halfway point. Only seen one car come in so far, and that was James Molyneux. But getting close again at the front. It got down within a half a second. Once again, it just seems like it's still ebbing and flowing back and forth between James Pierce and Jonathan Schwartz. As Nathan Nickerson is going to come in the pits this time. Surprised that the leaders haven't come in to kind of, you know, spread each other out here and see what happens on the pit stop, because I think I mean, right now the field is spread out pretty decently. Not too many close battles. You got this one right here within a second and a half. Take a look back at Ricky Renner as he tries to close in on Mason Smith, and Mason Smith really slow coming up out of the corner, and this is the battle for third place overall. And Renner on the outside, looks like he is going to possibly make that pass. I mean, the Acura seems like it's got some speed down the straight, but Renner going to make the pass, move himself into third place here overall. As Francisco and Green also dip into pits this time, but I think as much as the field is already spread out, I think it's going to spread out even more with this pit stop and just how difficult this pit lane is. It's tough enough getting in. It's a little wonky getting into the pits here in the bus stop and getting around a little tight corner, but that corner kind of right in the middle of pit lane between the upper pit lane and the lower pit lane, that hairpin on the inside of the source is absolutely treacherous. It looks like, I mean, I'm not sure if it's a layout or if this is just a new layout for Spa. I don't see the wall on the outside of the pits when you're coming through the middle there. It looks like it's just cones, as still watching this battle here between Ricky Renner and Mason Smith, but I mean, that would certainly be nice if it's just cones. You may get a penalty for hitting those cones, but at least you're not going to damage your car in doing so.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I noticed when I tested this new update myself, and that they have cones there. And to me, I'm super thankful for that, because again, that right turn there is the scariest part of pit road, in my opinion. But now with the cones, it gives you a tiny bit more breathing room. But again, that inside still kind of sneaks up on you there. But it's interesting to see how drivers handle that. But looks like up front, the leaders are gonna bring it down pit road. I was gonna say, I don't think it really mattered, at least the way that, you know, when these guys decided to pit, because they were still almost 2-3 seconds faster than the third place car lap time wise. So they could pit and they still probably won't lose that much time. They got 24 seconds on third place. So they're going to bring it down pit road here. I want to see them make that little bend on the right. Yeah, you can see they don't have the wall there. So you can see, look at how close James was to that wall. Before, that inside wall stuck out way more, and you had little room for error. But now they're on pit road. It's nice and close. We'll see how they cycle out here, because this could be really important as they come off pit road.
Mason Smith is going to stay out, and he is going to take over the lead here. And I mean, yeah, where those cones are in pit road, it used to just be a wall right there, and if you get a little bit too hot through there, you could, I mean, I'll gladly hit the cones and get a 40-second penalty or whatever it is, compared to a 14-minute penalty for damaging your wheel in the front and having to sit there for repairs. Mason Smith, like I said, it stays out. He's your new leader. It looks like Dominic Ford is going to stay out as well. Yeah, he's going to run another lap here, as we're still not at halfway, but all these drivers coming in for their pit stops here. You got to assume this is just going to be a one-stop race. I don't think there's any way there. This one's going to turn into a two-stop races. Normal races are only one, and you figure they're probably using a little bit less fuel with the treacherous conditions out here. It seems like the rain is maybe letting up a little bit here. It's still definitely raining, and it's not like we're getting anywhere close to dry conditions, but it seems like it's not as bad, especially as it was in the qualifying here. But we do have James Pierce out of the pits in front of Jonathan Schwartz, but not by much. It's still only 1.3 seconds separating these two, as they will end up cycling back out as first and second. But pit stop's certainly underway. A majority of the field in on this lap.
Yeah, continuing to run here. Not the huge gap between Mason and James, really. That's the benefit of having such a large lead once you came down to make your first pit stop here. And obviously these two, John and James, their pit road entry was super important, because John tried to brake a little bit later than James did, and it did work. He gained a little bit of time, but the little difference was that right-hand turn that I've talked about plenty of times. James got it super close to that wall, basically could touch it with his hand out the window. But ultimately, no real big change. Gap still about the same between all of these guys. Mason now getting ready to come up to the final chicane. We'll see if he decides to bring it in to pit road this time. I would imagine he probably will. and he does.
So Mason Smith in the pit lane. James Pierce, Jonathan Schwartz coming up to the final sector of the track here and into the bus stop, as they will take back over the lead, and again gets very close.
Whoa.
As Schwartz gets all the way to the back bumper, about 0.4 of a second separating them, but it looked like about 4 inches separating them heading into the bus stop. So I think this is the race we're going to see here tonight. You see in the background there, Dom Ford coming in to make his pit stop. Dave Tilford has yet to make his as well. He started from the pits, but he's been trying to make his way through the field, doing a pretty good job since the start of the race to get in here in time to get any kind of practice or qualifying in. So that's why I decided to start from pit lane. Currently running in 6th, but I'm sure we'll see him make that right-hand turn and come into pit lane this time by Kelly Pointer, who's yet to come in as well. Other than that, that will end up completing your pit cycle once Pointer comes in, as Tilford now comes into pit lane. Take a look back up front, and once again down at the Camel Straight, 1 second less than that, separating the top 2.
And now it'll just, at this point, I mean, if that was the one and only pit stop, now it's just going to be straight up, you know, all driver up to this point, you know. Don't make any mistakes, be smooth. I'm going to take a look at the radar here just to see the difference. I mean, radar shows for a while it's still going to be at 100% pretty much until the end of this race, so I don't expect any more numerous changes. There is also a 20-mile-an-hour wind right now, which is also pretty important depending on how your car is handling and depending on which direction the wind is blowing. It has it blowing right now southwest, but I'm not that good at
directions.
I don't even know what that is. Directions, latitude, longitude. I don't even know what all that is. I promise I'm a smart person in college, but I'm not that good at that. But yeah, now to this point, yeah, like I said, just don't mess up. Don't hit a puddle. If you're in a battle, do it clean.
It seems like the first part of the lap here, going through the source and going through Eau Rouge and Raidillon is where Pierce is better. That's where he stretches out that lead to a second every time. But then by the time they get to the end of this lap, the last couple sectors, that's where Schwartz comes alive, and you see it once again down to a 1/3 of a second heading into Blanchimont. And there's a corner right here, Blanchimont, that scares me in the dry. It's just, it's a scary little corner. It's nothing more than a kink, but if you don't take it right, that thing is going to snap and send you right to the left barrier very easily. But heading down into the bus stop one more time, and you're still going to hold on to that lead, only just as these guys are just mirroring each other's times right now in 1st and 2nd. 3rd place is being held right now by Mason Smith, as he gets out there, and looked like Ricky Renner had some issues on pit lane, about 6 seconds slower for his pit lane time. But Ricky Renner is in 4th place. Nathan Nickerson in 5th. James Molyneux is still out there, still doing a fantastic job, running in 6th place right now. Ellie Brandel in 7th place. Braden Carlson in 8th place. Dominique Ford right behind him in 9th place. And then another bronze up into the top 10, and that is Jesse Francisco doing a good job here, just kind of picking some guys off, having some issues. So 2 bronze up there in the top 10. John Crane, the next bronze, he is in 12th. So the tough conditions are showing out here pretty nicely for these bronze drivers, I gotta say.
Yeah, and this is something that I really figured out once rain became a thing in iRacing, and that is sometimes the drivers that, you know, may not be the strongest in the rain, everyone that's a race car driver's heard this saying, you know, sometimes going slower is faster. We've all heard that saying by now, and I will say it comes to fruition most of the time, and that's the main appliance I would say towards the rain, and that is, you know, sometimes just going slow, you know, might not be the most ideal thing, because if you're just losing time, but I mean, you're keeping the car clean, you don't want to crash it, you just depend on other people to crash it, and sometimes that's what the good thing about it, sometimes, you know, even though these conditions are hard, it's also kind of easy, at least the way I see it. It's a little bit more predictable because you know what the car can do when it gets in a puddle. You probably know what direction it's going to do, and you just can be steady with the throttle. Don't hit the brake, because we all know this even in real driving. If you say you hydroplane, don't hit the brakes, because I mean you're just gonna go nowhere. You're just gonna slide. There's no point.
Well, you're
so
gonna go somewhere. Not the way you want to go, though.
Right. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, I personally really enjoy the rain. Sometimes it's a challenge, but if you just take your time, be methodical about it. It'll come to you. You'll figure it out. You'll get into your groove and you'll figure it out eventually. And look at Jonathan make a huge gain there. James just went off the racetrack, and now John's going to look to take the lead. Whoa, wheel hop there. We'll see if we can make it work.
Into the bus stop. And Schwartz is going to be our new leader, but can he hold off into the source as Pierce gets a good run out of the bus stop? New leader at the line is going to be Jonathan Schwartz. And he will indeed hold him off, so a good pass there, and Schwartz finally gets the lead. Now we'll see a little role reversal here. We'll see if Pierce can keep up with Schwartz and mount a bit of a battle here back for the lead. As we're watching there, we've seen Dom Ford move himself up into 8th position. But it's been a good one out here. I mean, we've had a couple guys off, and right there's another off as is that James Pierce driving and really cutting the top of Eau Rouge there and Radeon, and it's
That's
somehow
definitely got to be a slowdown.
I would think so, but it doesn't look like he lost too much time. So I guess just you're slower in the rain. So
yeah, I was just about to say that's a good thing about that. I mean, depending on how much of a time, like how much time you have to yield, you are going slower in the rain. Yeah, I can hear him out of the throttle a little bit just on this straightaway. You have about 30 seconds to serve the penalty. So yeah, you're going slower in the rain. So you're basically methodically giving up that time that you have to give up that you got the penalty for. So it is ideal, and then obviously once you're on the brakes and then the corner, that'll do the same thing. But it's not all going to clear right away. So I did hear him have to lift a little bit, trying to serve the penalty. But it looks like pretty much all the damage is done. I don't even know what the heck happened going up that corner. I think he definitely seemed like he was right behind John in the spray, so he maybe just lost track of where he was. But yeah, now it looks like Don is starting to put a little bit of a gap on. Now these guys can run just single file, run where they are, and don't make a mistake.
Yeah, now the question is, can James Pierce mount a charge to catch back up to Jonathan Schwartz? 2.5 seconds is the lead right now. Good race out here so far. We're definitely past that halfway mark and getting close to 2/3 of the way through this race. So we'll go ahead and step aside and let these engines roar through the rainy, wet, wild conditions here at Spa with a little love to hear it. sights and sounds and some sketchy sights here for sure for some of these drivers here in the Core GT Series, the penultimate round here, round number 9 at Spa-Francorchamps, as we head into the closing 15 minutes, the last quarter of this race, and we're starting to see something that we were kind of wondering earlier on in the race. Didn't think it was a possibility, but we may be looking at a 2 pit stop race, or possibly right around a 1 or a 2. And I think some of these drivers out here may be trying to stretch this thing out to a 1, and others are reserved to make this a 2 pit stop race. But this is going to get very, very interesting. And we've been looking at some lap times here. We think there's certainly a few drivers out here that are electing to go for a 1 stop. You take a look at our leader right now, Jonathan Schwartz. He's got a 15-second lead, and I think that's by choice. Not by him, but by James Pierce. Pierce is running about 5 seconds slower on that last lap, and I think he may be in fuel save mode. You've seen Mason Smith, Dominic Ford, and Dave Tilford, Kelly Pointer, all pinning on lap number 11. That was right around the halfway point, right around the 30-minute mark. So looking at their lap times, they look to be trying to stretch this thing out into a 1 pit stop race as well. So we've seen it a couple times now this season, fuel strategy and pit stops really coming into play. But looks like Schwartz is not worried about fuels here tonight. He's just trying to run this thing out. He's probably, knows he's going to be on a 2 pit stop strategy. He is a bit, slower than his best lap time. His best lap time at 2:39.75, running a 2:44 that last time. But I think he's running a little bit too fast to make it a 1 stop. But Tyler, how many times have we been wrong already this year? I can't really say anything for sure.
I mean, a lot. I mean, I didn't expect John to win it at Road America because they all ran out of fuel in the last lap, and I didn't even know that was going to happen. So I don't know. These guys are really throwing me for a loop here. I mean, James, he ran a 2:52.4 that last lap, which is, hold on, do math.
It's slow.
8 seconds slower than John. Yes, slow. So I don't know. James definitely seems like he's in the fuel saving mode. That's for sure.
Well, it seems like a lot of drivers are in that fuel saving mode. I mean, look at you got Schwartz at a 2:44, and nobody else is anywhere close to that. Everybody is in the 2:48s. You got Dominic Ford with a 2:47 flat, but other than that, everybody's in the 2:48s or higher. This is the slow race. All of a sudden, the second half of this race, everybody in fuel save mode. I guess it's just going to come down to who can save, who's reserved to come in there for that second pit stop. We did see a few guys already come in. Nathan Nickerson already came in and made a second pit stop, as did James Molyneux. John Nobinger also making a pit stop. Jesse Francisco came in a second time, and Tim Thompson was in on lap number 14 as well. So all of them are good to go to the end. I can safely say that they should be good to go to the end, provided they took enough fuel while they were in there. But you see your leader going around here. I don't know.
I just want to point this out because I just saw this really interesting. So once the driver, I mean, yeah, I'm not perfectly great on all these corner names. So the corner when they go up Eau Rouge, and then they have the giant straightaway right there, leading into the right-hand chicane right there. I just went and take a look at the lap because I was curious. John starts braking at about right where the curbing starts on the left side. So that's how quick it is for John. We all know how long that straightaway is. I went to the same corner to see where James was braking. He lifted about halfway on that whole straightaway. So I can't even begin to imagine how much he's trying to save based on just that right there, because he lifted a good, I don't know, 5, almost 10 seconds before John even starts to brake. So James is in desperation fuel saving mode if that's what he's doing.
And he's not the only one. There's a lot of drivers out there, like I said, that are in some type of fuel saving mode at this point. And we are now down to just about 10 minutes left in this race, and start to wonder when we'll see Jonathan Schwartz come into the pits again. It's looking at the drivers that came in for Splash and Dash, the slowest, or the quickest pit stop, I should say, was John Dobinger. only being in his pit stall for 6.7 seconds. It was still 1 minute and 6 seconds. So basically, you're in pit lane for a minute plus whatever you're staying stationary in your pit stall. He doesn't have a 1 minute lead right now. I mean, he's gaining lap times ridiculously fast. Right now, he just ran 2:41 that last lap compared to James Pierce at 2:52. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing how much slower, but it's only 32 seconds difference right now, and he's going to need to gain another half a minute to be able to cover that time that's going to take to come into the pits.
I don't even know what to think. I mean, I'm just going to take a look at the speed just also because I'm curious. So by the time, you know, just looking at the speed difference in that chicane after, after the long straightaway up Eau Rouge, the slowest James goes at any point looks to be about...
as we got off track by Schwartz, sliding through, he gets into the wall.
Man!
And that very well, it looks like very little damage, maybe no damage at all, but trying to hustle that car as much as possible. And that right there,
it's hurt. I think. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, he's got to come in and make a pit stop, so maybe now's the time to just rip that Band-Aid off, come in and take that pit stop right now, get the fast repair if you need it. But that right there may end up costing him a chance at the win. As it stood before that little wreck right there, he was looking at coming out in about third place. Depending on how long the pit stop was going to be, we'll see what he decides to do. But that was a huge mistake by the 199.
Yeah, I went to see it. It looked like, on the right-hand corner when you have to, make that shallow entry and kind of take a wide arc. It seemed like when John got on the brakes, he was in the middle of a puddle. So that's what caused that car to be upset and get loose under braking. That was just he didn't hit any grass or anything on the left side, but just got on the brakes at the absolute worst time. But hey, just think of it this way: John just ran a 252 flat, and that is faster than James's last lap. So he might actually not lose much time at all compared. He's just not going to be as far ahead as he probably wants now.
Well, it's just how far in this race can he get in regards to the fuel is really the question. I mean, he last pit on lap number 10. We're on lap 20 right now, so this could very well be the time where he comes into pit lane, as looks like John Nobinger had a big incident here, enough that he had to tow back into the pits. This is coming through, heading in towards Blanchimont, goes a bit wide, and man, I think snaps on water outside and didn't hit anything, but he decided to just call it a quits at that point and bring it in, as he was certainly not having a good night out here in the 44. But all eyes on the leader right now, 35, now 36-second lead over James Pierce, but it's not going to be enough to cover a pit stop, so we'll see what happens there. A man that did come into the pits, James Molyneux, trying to work his way back up through the field. He doesn't need to save. He can drive this thing out. He can drive it hard. He's got enough fuel to make it to the end, and by all means, it looks like everybody in front of him is in fuel save mode right now, as Ellie Brandel now gives up 6th position to come into the pits and make his second pit stop. So how far up can James Molyneux get right now, riding right behind Dave Tilford? This battle for 8th and 9th position overall.
Yeah, he had a huge run on Dave Tilford there, but he kind of blocked the middle of the lane, so James was not able to go by. He didn't want to force the car to do something that would probably upset it, which was either dive bomb it underneath where there are puddles or go way to the outside where it's still really wet and no one really runs. So he's got a huge run here on the left chicane. He's going to not make a move, but he's probably going to have a good run here coming up to the chicane. Dave blocks it a little bit, but now he's going to easily go right by. So that's still he probably was hoping he would get by Dave a lot quicker than that, but he does get by. So now he's got clean track. He's got quite a few seconds to the next guy, which is Nathan, who's quite a bit up the road. So he's got somewhere to go, but he got a lot of cars on pit road now here. I'm trying to see. Eli Brando's one of them. We'll see where James cycles out.
Well, speaking of cycling in, how about Jonathan Schwartz coming in to make his pit stop here?
Here we go.
So we'll see how far he's going to be behind when he comes back out, because he's certainly going to be behind. 5 minutes now left in this race. Still looking at James Molyneux here as he has moved himself into 8th place. And Ricky Renner now makes it past James Pierce. So it looks like we both Ricky and James pit on the same lap, but now it looks like maybe Ricky realizes either he's got enough or he doesn't have enough. Either way, he's stepping up the pace. He was about 11 seconds faster on that lap. We'll see if Renner comes into the pits. Indeed, he does. So Renner in from 2nd place. Pierce is going to continue on. Does Pierce have enough? Running a 254, almost 255 that last lap. He's trying to limp this thing home for the last about 20 minutes in this race to see if he can get it done. We'll keep an eye on Jonathan Schwartz, who is coming out of the pits. So here is the race, and it looks like Schwartz is going to have a quick enough pit stop.
Yeah, no way, no reason at all. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit closer there, because once James was able to, he was maybe hoping to get by John there and make the pass. He would probably, try to pick up the pace as much more as he can, but he's not even full throttle this whole straightaway. I can hear it. He's still trying to save as much as he can. Oh my goodness, just cars near him are going to barely get around him there. That was... Mason Smith almost went off trying to go around. So, I mean, if I'm James, I mean, I don't really know what else to do at this point. You just got passed by 2 cars and you're going horrendously slow. He just ran a 259 his last lap. So, I don't really know what else to say. I guess he's going to try to limp it home, but if that was the strategy he's going for, obviously did not work. Not at all.
Mason Smith is one of the cars that pit on lap 11. He made an extra lap compared to everybody else, so maybe he is finally in that window where he can push a little bit. Either way, he's moved himself into 2nd place, winner last week out at Monza, and it was a very thrilling race. I mean, I know you were in the car, and I'm not sure if you got a chance to take a look back and look at the broadcast, but I mean, the top 3 of Smith, Ford, and Schwartz were not separated by more than a second pretty much the entire race, and it all came down right to the end. Mason Smith was able to get it done, but another good run out here for the 6th. It looks like he is going to be grabbing another podium out here tonight, currently running 2nd, 16 seconds behind your leader, Jonathan Schwartz. James Pierce in 3rd still, but 6 seconds back right now. How about Dominique Ford, as he has made his way back up into the top 5? We didn't think podium was in play after the early wreck. Top 5 would have been a stretch, but I think because of this crazy fuel mileage, the top 5 is certainly in play here tonight. He's in 4th. He's got Ricky Renner right behind him, who has made a 2nd pit stop, so it's probably going to be a little bit faster. May make it past before this thing is over, but your leader is Jonathan Schwartz, and trying to see. I don't think
I think he did just take the white.
Did he take the white? I was trying to look to see if he took the white. I didn't see, or actually, that's right, he wouldn't have taken the white flag there. I believe the white flag is down here at the bottom. I always get confused with the layouts here at Spa, where the start-finish line actually is, but should be taking the white flag this time by. One more lap to go here at Spa. Just got to keep this thing on the track. He's got about an 18-second lead over Mason Smith. He's now got enough fuel to make it to the end of this race. And Schwartz looking to grab another win here on the season. And after this race, he'll finally be able to kick that red stripe off the car here and join his rightful place here in the gold division. I don't think there was any dispute that he was going to be coming out and being right here in the gold division and joining the likes of Mason Smith, James Pierce, Dominique Ford, Ricky Renner, and the rest of them here. He's had a fantastic run here since he's come into the series, and capping off obviously a couple wins, but this one here tonight is going to be one that is going to leave, I think, a few guys scratching their heads and wondering what was going on with the strategy here tonight, as the one-stopper was possible, but the two-stopper was faster.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and these guys are playing it right. John did what he's had to do, everything he did all day. Ran smooth. I was gonna say kept the car clean, but technically did not. But I mean, even with all the strategy that was going on behind him, that incident in the end did not really matter. The gap's probably a little bit closer over second place Mason Smith than he wants, but in the end, it's not really going to matter that much. Mason, really good job right now in P2. James still hanging on for P3. Dom, heck of a recovery in P4. I mean, he's going to see if he can chase James down. I mean, it's a huge gap between the two, but I mean, James has been slow saving the whole time, so I don't know if anything could happen. But John, really good here, looking to bring it home for another win.
Yeah, we just seen the wreck by Ricky Renner there as he was trying to close it on Dom Ford for 4th place. Just got a little bit loose and put it into the wall. Lost a front bumper, but it seemed like the car is still driving okay, so should be able to limp it home and grab a top 5 here tonight. Nathan Nickerson and Eli Brandel for 6th and 7th place, doing a fantastic job for the silver division. James Molyneux still pulling from there inside the top 10, currently running in 8th place. How about Dave Tilford? He was one of the guys that pit on lap number 11, trying to stretch this thing out on fuel. Started from pit lane and in the top 10 right now, running in at 9th. And then Jack Peterson right now is rounding out your top 10. And got to give it to these guys. This was not easy here tonight, but we do have the checker flag in the air for Jonathan Schwartz. He is going to get it done here tonight and a win here in rainy Spa with a 2-stopper. Mason Smith is going to make it home, finish in 2nd. James Pierce is going to make it home too. I'm not sure if he's got enough gas to even make it back to pit lane. He does not. He's going to come home though in 3rd, top 3. Dominique Ford, Ricky Renner going to round out your top 5. But a heck of a run here. We'll take a look and watch the rest of the field here. Nathan Nickerson looking to try and get the win here. He's got a 16-second lead over 2nd place in the bronze division, being Brandel. Coming through the final sector of this lap through Blanchimont one more time, and man, on screen here, it just looks like just such a easy little corner, just a nice smooth little kink right there, nothing to worry about. Man, in the car, I hate Blanchimont. It's just... I mean,
I will point it out. I'm sure my teammates would hate this, but that was the first corner that we had our wreck in the 24-hour race last year. By me in that corner.
Too soon. Too soon.
I can't say I'm very fond of that corner. I actually still really enjoy it, even in the dry. It's a lot of fun. But that was just a bad driver mistake at that time. I just was trying to pass another car. Didn't quite expect the car to be as upset as it was. But yeah, that one put us behind. I don't think we were going to win that, but it definitely took us out of a finish that we probably should have gotten. But oh well, that'll happen.
Well, Nathan Nickerson, as you've seen, gets the win here in the silver. James Molyneux gets a top 10, 8th place finish here tonight for the bronze driver, as he's going to have the top spot in the bronze. Good battle there to the end as Dave Tilford and Jack Peterson got really close to Dave Tilford, I should say, heading into the bus stop and almost was able to make the pass there. But we will get a full running order of the field once everybody crosses the line. Just got a couple more crossing right now. Braden Carlson going to grab 12th place overall, and as soon as this race goes final, we should be able to grab the results, and it looks like everybody now has completed the race. So we'll take a look at the final results, and we'll do it by division here, and click on the right thing, it would help. Mason Smith getting the win and the gold. James Pierce, Dominique Ford, Ricky Renner, Dave Tilford for your top 5. Jack Peterson, Nick Terrell, Kelly Pointer, and Michael Brock rounding out the 9 cars in the gold division. In the silver, it was Nathan Nickerson with the top spot, Eli Brandel, Braden Carlson, Jake Jackson, John Nobinger, Alan Gullison, Brandon Domain. As I'm not sure, I don't think Domain actually got out there on the track here tonight. In the bronze division, James Molyneux takes the top spot, Jesse Francisco, John Crane, Josh Betts, Tim Thompson, Alex Jaspers, Terry Jansen for your 7 cars in the bronze. And it's worth pointing out there, not only did James Pierce get a top 10, and I know I keep touting it, but I mean, for a bronze to get a top 10 here in any race here in this season, I mean, there's tough competition in this GT series. So a top 10 is something worth noting for a bronze driver, let alone in these treacherous conditions. But he lapped the entire bronze division field. I mean, that is unbelievable. And then obviously our rookie and yet winner overall, Jonathan Schwartz, getting it done here tonight. So congrats to him as well. We'll go ahead and step aside for a second and bring in the top finishers here tonight. But before we step aside, I mean, what a race here tonight. I mean, we certainly seen some action here. We've seen some varying pit strategies, but in the end, I think the drivers kind of tamed these tough conditions here at Spa.
Yeah, I'd say they did. I mean, most of the incidents we saw, you know, they were just minor racing incidents. I mean, didn't really see, at least not from my point of view, not like any egregious mistakes. Everything was just kind of just happened. That's just a product of a difficult racetrack, sometimes difficult race cars to handle, and of course just in the pouring rain. I mean, that'll happen. So I think these drivers did a very, very good job right now over with this race in general. So I would say I'd be proud of wherever you finished. I mean, even if it's not where you wanted, you still conquered the treacherous Spa, however you say it, in the rain. So well done by everybody.
All right, well, we got a couple of our drivers here and just waiting for a few more, but we'll go ahead and start kicking off these interviews. And we're going to go ahead and start with our winner here in the silver division first. And that is going to be the 280 of Nathan Nickerson. There we go. Yeah, we're getting a couple more here. So, Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take our silver division winner here, Nathan Nickerson.
Yeah, Nathan, it was a pretty solid race for you there. You qualified P6, brought it home in P6. It was difficult in the rain, but you also were one of the drivers who pitted there towards the end, just trying to run heaters, hoping maybe some guys would crash or run out of fuel. But still, in the end, it was P6, and it was winner in the silver division. So take us through your race and what it was like out there in the treacherous rain.
Yeah, it was scary just trying to piggyback off the last race and trying to do good again. Last week didn't do so hot, came into this week and feeling a lot better. Got a couple hours of practice in, and the rain wasn't as bad as what the practice was. I think that's the key there, is just to practice with more wetness there on the track. And then this race, it was just hang on into the first time through the Rouge, and then I don't know, I had James on my tail the whole time. He was faster, let him go, and then by the end of the first pit, I knew that pit strategy was going good, and as long as the guys pit, then I was solid.
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and it has to do with this new Spa layout reconfiguration that we saw in the update of a while ago, and that is the pit road. And that's something that I'm sure many drivers have had fears of before. And like you brought it to pit road twice during this race. So what was it kind of like entering pit road and then even that little right-hand turn to get into the pit boxes? Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, entering pit road, just super careful on that first corner since it's a little sharper, and then just normal pit speed throughout the first pit lane, and then coming around that corner where they took out that wall and put the cones. I did good through it the first time, and the lines are kind of confusing at first, and then the second time I ended up going through the cones, so I was lucky not to get a penalty. I'm not sure if there is a penalty or not there, so.
Yeah, and one other thing that I guess I want to point out here is that you brought it to pit road, looks like, I believe, on lap number 10 in the race. We completed 22. We saw some drivers go one stint in this race, but you obviously went two. Were there any indications that you would even try a one stint race, or did you always have two in your mind?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the race, you always have to have a plan for the race, especially for an hour. You're almost entering the endurance territory. And I do love endurance races, but I do like the pit stop as well to have fun with it. I thought to myself, I'll just pit stop it and hammer down and see if I can pull some time on the guys behind me, because I know they could have one stopped it. So the goal was just to try and pull on the other guys.
All right, well, it was a good race for you there overall, Nathan. As a P6 overall, but the win in the silver division. Any shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to Crofton Woodhatch for helping me with my wheelbase before the race. I feel like I could feel a lot more, and in the rain, I feel like that's pretty crucial. And then Jack Jeffries, Ricky Renner, Josh Betts, and Ruby C. And then if the fam's watching again this week, they like watching this stuff, so shout out to them too.
All right, Nathan. Well, we really appreciate your time. It was a great run for you there overall, and we'll catch you next race for the finale at the Red Bull Ring.
Thank you so much.
That is your top finishing driver here in the silver division, the 280 of Nathan Nickerson. Fourth place overall, but a podium for the gold division is going to be Dom Ford. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take the 91 here? Dom Ford with a heck of a comeback.
Oh my goodness, Dom. Where in the world do we even begin? So much happened to you this race. All started where? Lap freaking 1. How about that? Just a little bit of a spin there. But again, like Carl mentioned there, fantastic recovery. Actually, I just brought up one spin. Heck, you had two spins. What? Just to add insult to injury. But again, great recovery for you in P4 there. I guess to start off, did you have any chance to review what happened there with the incidents? And do you think there was really anything else you could have done?
I'll be honest with you. Both of those incidents were not my fault. But I just tried to stick with it, I guess. And you can't change the past, so you just have to move on.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of add on to that, so because of that, you got set back multiple times. You qualified in second, but then after that first spin, you got sent outside of the top 20. I'm sure that was a deflator for you there, but it's a 1 hour race. It's so long, and you still managed to bring it home in P4. So take us through, not just me, but for everyone watching, what is it like for a driver when you get set behind that much and you just have to stay in it as focused as you can to try to get the best result possible?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The first reaction is, damn. I've got a lot of work ahead of me.
Thanks for keeping it clean. Because I don't think it was damn.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the type of driver you are, can really determine how your thought process is there. But I mean, I knew I had the pace in the wet, and fortunately it was wet. I would not have had the same recovery if it was dry. But fortunately it was wet, and I'd have the pace over some drivers tonight. And even though I got spun the second time, I mean, it sucked. But fortunately, I realized towards the end of the race, pit strategy really played a factor in there. And me going that extra lap was really beneficial for me. So I really enjoyed that. And being able to fight back from dead last was a lot of fun, but came with a lot of challenges as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's one. Driving at Spa in the rain is one thing, but next week, the finale, the 2-hour race, double the distance. Why not? We go to the Red Bull Ring in the complete dry, which, at least as far as I'm aware.
Yes.
How do you think you're going to be doing in that one? You excited for that one? You got any experience at the Red Bull Ring? You know, what are your thoughts heading into that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is our second or third ending, a final finale on Red Bull Ring, so I've got quite a bit of experience on that track, and I've raced there multiple times throughout iRacing officials, and I'm excited. I'll be driving the same car I drove tonight, so hopefully it'll treat me good, and maybe we can make it through the first lap.
Fair enough. Well, let's hope you do as well here. Well, Dom, we appreciate your time. Any quick shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to you guys at broadcast. I see you're back in the broadcast here, Tyler. Hello.
Hi. Great to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back and watch this race. We got rain involved this time, so it should be an adventurous broadcasting. So, shout out to my teammate. He managed to get the P4, so he secured a great position there. He was holding it up there in the front after I was making my drive back through the field. So shout out to Mason. And even though I had that contact with John, you know, he still got the win and managed a good fuel strategy. So good on him. And shout out to the rest of the field. I know I had a few incidences with a few people. I hope it wasn't too big. I don't think I caused any incidents, but if I did, I'm sorry about that. And excited to go to Red Bull Ring for the final week.
All right, Dom. Well, we really appreciate your time. Congrats on the P4 and the recovery, and we'll see you next race.
Thank you. Have a good night.
That is fourth place overall, third place in the gold division, the 91 of Dominique Ford. We don't have James Pierce on tap here tonight, but we do have our second place finisher in the race and the top gold driver here tonight. That is going to be the 6 of Mason Smith. Mason, top of the boards again for at least the gold division. Unfortunately, you come away with a second place here tonight, but I got to ask, I mean, certainly quite a few drivers out there going for the one pit stop strategy. Was that going to be the play from the beginning? It was kind of funny just, you know, seeing the 1, 2, 3 people that are going for the two stoppers, just putting in some times that were anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds faster than you guys out there. But I guess when was that decision made for the one stopper?
Way like at the start of the race, because I just didn't, you know, I didn't want to push the car and risk myself spinning out. So I just went all in for the one stopper, which I actually ended up saving. I ended up over saving the car, and I saved like I think like almost a lap, which I should have used to push, but I don't think it would have mattered anyway, because you know, Schwartz was gone to begin with this two-stopper non-stop pushing. I thought that would bring something to the table, but it got me 2 positions, so I'm happy for it.
Yeah, I mean, you got home here in second, so the best of the one stoppers for sure. But I mean, how treacherous is it out there trying to save the fuel? Because I know for me, it seems like when I try and back off the pace, that's when more mistakes come into play. Like I know how the car handles at full pace. I know, you know, how it handles at full downforce, but backing off that pace for some reason is when I get into more trouble. So I mean, was that any kind of situation here with the rain tonight?
No. Well, maybe from like the puddles and stuff. I didn't really affect me too much, other than like costing time, I guess, to first or to John, because John and Ricky, they were doing like 2 stoppers. It worked out against Ricky, but yeah, when John was too far away. But I think it just felt. I felt pretty good, and you know, normally I'd choose the Porsche, but I went with the Acura because it kind of drives nice. But like I said, it's a no biggie for me. You just
half of the time I don't even think about it. It's just the more you save, the more like, you know, you get comfortable just driving very smoothly and just not thinking about when you're gonna spin or something, or what happens, or what if you do that. I just don't really think at all, and just do my part and just fuel saving.
And just gotta get in the groove, and it certainly worked out here nice. But I'm kind of flabbergasted because we really haven't. I mean, we've had some situations this year for sure where it came down to some crazy fuel mileage. But if there was any place where I thought, a one stopper was surely going to be what it was going to be for everybody out there, it would be in a heavy rain race like this, because of not really going full throttle the whole time. But really kind of surprised that you guys really had to save just to make it that one stopper here tonight.
Yeah, well, that was again, I was kind of shocked that I like ended up over saving the car by that much, which yeah, it's a big deal to save in the wet, because you're sacrificing so much. Like, instead of braking at the 100 meter down at the straight, you're just down to the Kimmel straight. You're just down. I'm just like lifting at the 200 mark. So like even way before I get into the braking zone, because that's how hard it is to like save fuel here. You think you're like saving, but you think you're saving a lot just by braking at like or lifting at like the way before, but it's still it'll only get you like a little much when it's
an
hard.
art form.
It's hard.
It's an art form, yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't mind being in the booth for these type of races for sure. Well, congrats on the second place overall and the top spot here in the gold for tonight, and really back-to-back wins here in the gold. So congrats on the success here. We got Red Bull Ring coming up next week. You don't have to worry about rain, but you got to worry about an extra hour, 2-hour finale next week. It's at a track that's a little bit more driver friendly. So what are you looking forward to next week? Do you think you can pull it off here and maybe get the three-peat as the top guy in the gold?
Well, I can. That'll definitely happen. I just want to know what car I want to run, because with all the new content stuff with the Acura NSX, I love the car. I'm gonna continue driving it, but also want to focus on what drives good here.
Yeah, and it's. I mean,
like
the Acura is the new fresh toy, and usually, like I mentioned in the broadcast, it's usually the one that when they come out with a new car, it's just plain faster for quite a bit to get everybody to buy that brand new car before they actually bop it. So I don't blame you for getting it out here tonight, and probably wouldn't blame you for getting out there next week at Red Bull Ring to see if you can finish out the season with another chance at a win here. But either way, like I said, a good run here tonight. You survived the rain, and you survived the one-stop strategy here. So before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout-out to or thanks to?
Absolutely to you in the broadcast, to all the racers, to 212, and to my family as well.
All right, buddy. Well, like I said, congrats again, and we'll see you next week for the season finale.
See you next week.
That is driver of the 6, Mason Smith, top finisher in the gold division, second place overall. Top place overall, and going to be moving himself into the gold as he kicks off the rookie, is going to be Jonathan Schwartz. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take our winner here tonight?
Well, John, how about that? It's another win for you there. Not an easy one, that's for sure, too. You had your fair share of good moments, scary moments, but in the end, you brought it home with another win here. Just go ahead and... I guess I'll break these questions in half so I don't have to ask you everything at once. But first off, take me through that battle with James, because basically first half of the race, you guys are going all over the place. It seemed awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely fun hanging with James there. It seemed like he was really strong in the first sector. Then I was able to close in on the second and then tried to draft on the third, but it was just really hard to get a run into the chicane. So I tried to get as close as I could, but I really had to wait for some mistake to be able to make a move on him. So yeah, really impressive pace. I think I looked at our fastest laps, and our fastest laps were within half a tenth of each other. So yeah, really solid race pace and in qualifying time from him. That was really impressive to see. So yeah, I thought after I got by him he'd stay real close, and I mean it seemed that the rain got harder in the second half, so that definitely played a factor. But first half was quite fun.
Yeah, and speaking of mistakes, something I want to go to actually that happened on the very first lap was the little contact between you and Dom Ford that ended up setting him around there. Looking at the replay, I don't know if you managed to see it or not, but it looked like, you know, typical, if this were in the dry, there would have been absolutely nothing different. But because you were kind of pinned on that inside close to the curbs and near those puddles, just once you got into the corner, the car just went straight, and that's what'll happen going in the puddles. So, I mean, you really feel like you could have done anything different, maybe backed off, gave Dom the spot. I don't know. What was going through your head at that point?
Yeah, I was looking at the replay there, and just in the moment, for sure, I noticed that as we went to the braking zone, I was able to brake a lot later, and I still made the corner. And I think it's not like I was partially alongside. I felt like I was fully alongside Dom as we went into that right-hander, which then turned into the left-hander. And so we were fully alongside at that point. And yeah, it's just, I think it's a combination of just track knowledge in different conditions, because I feel like in some way Dom would have preferred if I just cut the corner, but then I'm getting the slowdown, and I feel like the rejoin could be unsafe. And so with that puddle there, I could try to slide up to avoid it, but then I'll make contact, assuming he doesn't give room. So yeah, I feel like on those first laps, especially with just the knowledge of puddles, maybe people on both sides should give more room. Nothing against Dom at all. Obviously, I don't want to see him get turned around like that. I mean, it seemed like he would have had a 3-car battle at the front if not for that. So yeah, not something I wanted to see, but I felt like I had enough of a car alongside to be justified the lane. So, but yeah, the track conditions made that tough for sure.
Yeah, and I guess the other huge storyline that happened in your race was, you know, right before your final pit stop, you had that incident where it seemed like you just got on the brakes and the car did not like when you got on the brakes at that time, lost it, got into the barriers there. But I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but the lap you ran when you spun out was still faster than James's lap, who was in second place at the time. It was maybe about 6-7 tenths faster than he did. So that just shows the amount of fuel he was trying to save there. I mean, at that point, were you maybe a little bit worried with how much fuel saving James was trying to do there on the one stop? And did that lead to an incident like that? Or like, did you have something else going on?
I think that's when you're trying to consistently get those fast laps and trying to find like the line that's right off the wet line, you're trying to always be right on that edge of grip. And I think with those like 3 laps to go, I was really low on fuel. I think I had like 1.5 gallons or so. And so the car is lighter at that point. The tires are a bit warmer. And so the acceleration out of corners is better. So I think going into the braking zone, I was probably going maybe 2 or 3 miles per hour faster. And it's just because of that small difference, I probably should have broke a little earlier, but it's just those small differences you really can't tell. And so I think that was the difference between me making the corner and me going to the sand. So yeah, just happy I was able to recover. But yeah, I guess that's something I can learn towards the future in these rain races, that as the fuel changes in the car, it also changes the braking references.
Well, the good thing about this is that next week's season finale at the Red Bull Ring, you shouldn't have to worry about any rain here. And I believe we talked about this in the broadcast. You should be able to get your promotion into gold as well here. So you're going to be on a whole new level heading into the finale, and it'll be your first 2-hour race. So that's going to be a huge change. What are you looking forward to as we head into the finale next week?
I'm looking forward to some fun fuel strategy. That seems like what we've been experiencing in these last few races. I'm not sure if we're going to get a full tank for that. If not, it'll be a lot of pit stops. But yeah, I feel like throughout these last few races, lap traffic has been quite fun, and this is going to be one of the shorter tracks, so we're going to come up on lap traffic a lot. So yeah, whoever can manage traffic the best, see if we can even save some fuel in the traffic, and yeah, once again, just focus on that consistency throughout every lap. Another thing is there's a lot of gravel pits at Red Bull Ring, and so with this new gravel refresh, it is going to be interesting to see if that gets brought up onto the track. So I'll have to focus on that as well. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, John. Well, we really appreciate your time. Congrats on the win there. Any quick shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Air Kinetics on the car. We'll be running in the Majors Blackout 12 hours this weekend, so hopefully we can get a good result there. I think I'll be driving in a bit of rain there as well, so hopefully this was a good practice for that. And yeah, that'll hopefully give me some endurance practice. But of course, a good shout out to you guys in the broadcast booth as well.
All right, well, we really appreciate your time there, John. Congrats on the win, and we will see you next race for the finale.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That is your overall winner here tonight, the 199 of Jonathan Schwartz. Now, last but not least, we'll bring in what is, I mean, got to be the man of the hour here tonight, and that is driver of the 94, James Molyneux. James, welcome to the booth. You finally get it done, first of all. I mean, you seemed like you had plenty of good qualifying efforts, qualifying on top of the bronze a few times, but really haven't been able to put the race together. Here tonight, you mix it up with the big boys here, qualifying inside the top 10, and didn't really drop out of that top 10 all night, other than, you know, the kind of crazy pit strategies going on here tonight. But I mean, what are the emotions? Is the heart rate finally coming back down to normal? I mean, are you breathing okay at this point? You got a top 10 with these boys here tonight.
Am I allowed to be in here?
You did step into the right room.
It was pretty wild. You know, I spent quite a lot of time last night bouncing between the Acura and the Vette, and just kind of chose to go with the Acura.
Well, I mean,
a lot more stable than the Vette.
We've been talking to you kind of ad nauseum. We know you're a Chevy guy, but I'm glad to see you step out here. I know the Acura is the brand new, the fresh toy out there, and it's usually, you know, got the most speed and grip once it comes out here. But you venture out of the Chevy, and I know it probably took a lot, and it was like ripping off a Band-Aid, but it served you pretty well here tonight. I mean, like I said, it wasn't just winning the bronze out here tonight, but you put in a pretty dominating performance and hung with these big boys out here and got yourself a top 10, which is great to begin with. But in the rain, I mean, I know you put in a lot of practice time, but the practice paid off here.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. The heart rate's finally starting to come down. I was kind of shaken after the race was over. And yeah, just the Acura, like I said, with practice last night, the Acura felt so much more stable than the Vette. I'm like, I gotta make a change here, and I did, and it paid off.
Yeah, it certainly did. Well, congrats on the success here tonight, finishing 8th place overall and tops in the bronze by quite a decent sized distance here. I mean, almost a full minute ahead of second place Jesse Francisco in the bronze here. So, congrats on the success here tonight, and we'll certainly give you time to get out there and celebrate. But before you do, who you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Definitely my wife. She puts up with so much, all the time I put up in. You know, I put into the sim, practicing and trying to get better, and all the negative comments when I mess up. So yeah, definitely her, and Team VRS for some of the coaching I've gotten.
All right, buddy. Well, it's either way, it's paying off. The practice, the time your wife lets you get out here, and the coaching. I mean, it's working out really nicely here, and happy to see you finally to kind of get a position that you're well deserved. I know you're putting in a ton of time out there, and I'm always seeing you posting about your practices and asking what everybody else is doing. So it's great to see, and I wish more drivers would have the time and be able to put in the time that you do to try and get better. And glad to see it's finally paying off here. So it's definitely take some time to celebrate and get ready for an extra hour next week at Red Bull Ring, 2-hour finale next week.
Yes, sir. I'm super excited to finally be competitive. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, buddy. Well, take some time to celebrate this, and we'll see you next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Thank you.
That is your top finisher here tonight in the bronze division, the 94 of James Molyneux with an 8th place overall. Tyler, we talked about it, at the end of the race broadcast here, but I think these drivers did a really good job out here tonight, kind of just battling through these tough conditions. It was not easy. This track is not easy when it's dry, but I mean, you throw this rain out there, this constant rain for the entire race. I guess that's about the only nice thing is it wasn't one where you had to worry about the transition, and if it was going to go to dry tires at any point, it was just torrential downpour the entire time out here tonight, and it posed plenty of issues out here, plenty of puddles as you still see them here on the broadcast. But heck of a job by these drivers.
Yeah, it was well done. It was definitely a long race. I'm sure many of these drivers were at some point, once the rain continued to keep falling, some were just being like, oh man, when is this going to be over? Because once you're in the rain, time goes so much slower. I mean, unless you're having fun like John was in the lead, closing to win the race. So, yeah, all the drivers did a fantastic job, especially at a tough racetrack like this. Sure, there was a fair share of incidents, but that's racing. That's going to happen. But overall, it was a pretty solid race. Congrats to everybody, all the class winners, everyone else finishing their position. And yeah, Red Bull Ring finale next week should be a lot of fun.
2 hours, so get an extra drink ready, get an extra bag of popcorn ready. It's going to be a nice, fun one next week to round out and close out the championships for all 3 divisions and the overall. It was a good one here tonight. It'll be nice and dry next week. I want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe. Gets you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer. We got the championship next week. Make sure you tune into that one. But for myself and Tyler Scozen here at the CRN booth, we'll see you at the track.